The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Nick Fantasy. They're coming to customers, play just $5, get $75 in bonus funds. Use promo code SGPN. And welcome everyone to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Currently Friday night, December 19th, around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Rosso Scott Reichel once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the semis in the Next Gen Finals. We're going to talk about the two matches taking place on Saturday. Before we get into the two matches, though, a reminder, support the show by liking, subscribing on YouTube. And a reminder, you'd also find the podcast audio only on Spotify or Apple. Couple ways to support the show, though. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple to help the show grow. Plus, a reminder, you check out the merch store. A lot of great tennis merchandise that we have on the SGPN merch store. We have sweatshirts, we have t-shirts, we have mugs. A lot of different options for you. Very affordable. I think you'll find the options, once again, comfortable, especially the shirts. So I recommend checking out the different options we have for the merch store, whether it involves the tennis show or the other shows with the network. Plus, a reminder, if you want to get access to all of our free picks and podcasts for SGPN in one easy location, check out the SGPN app, free to download in the App Store. Just type in SGPN. Once again, free app with all of our picks and podcasts inside it. Just go to the SGPN app in the App Store. So, starting off with the recap of the lock and dog picks from the last episode. Overall, decent. Did lose the lock, but we did win the dog. For the lock, we ended up having Landalucci with the money line of minus 120, as he ended up losing to Budkov as he lost in 4. He was competitive, but unfortunately just wasn't good enough as he ended up losing in 4. For the dog, though, never in doubt, we had Block's money line with the over 23.5 games at plus 175. Never in doubt, he did win in 4, and the match went over. So a nice win there. Once again, not a sweep, but still a good episode. I'll try to keep it rolling here for the semis taking place on Saturday. So instead of recapping the actual day-to-day matches, we're just going to recap the group stage entirely, talking about what happened and how we ended up with the two matches that we're getting on Saturday. Also checking out the comment section. I see Lights Out stopping by. I see AO stopping by and Training stopping by. What's up, guys? Thanks for stopping by the live stream. A reminder, it is in a live format. So if you join the YouTube show, you can leave some comments in the comment section if you want to interact with me in real time. So starting off with the actual group stage. For starters, we're going to do we'll do the red group first, which was very straightforward. You saw Blocks win all 3 matches as he won the group. Basaveretti did finish in second place as he went 2-1. Prismic went 1-2, and Engel went 0-3. Thought he would go 0-3. Engel was the last-minute fill-in for Mensik, so he was not supposed to be here. Got gifted a free spot. He was arguably the worst player in the entire field. He tried to make his matches competitive, but in reality, I never thought he would actually advance, and I thought that he would lose all 3 matches, and he did, as he went over. As for the dramatic group, the blue group, so you ended up seeing Budkov win the group, despite losing the last match, as he went 2-1. Now, Joder ended up beating Tien in a thrilling comeback as he won in 5 sets in the first match of the stage. However, despite going 2-1 and despite beating Tien in the head-to-head, he did not qualify. He ended up losing to Tien for the second spot. So either way, because of a 3-way tie and because of some tiebreakers, Joder, despite beating Tien, ended up getting eliminated in the group stage, and Tien ended up advancing barely as he finished in second place, and Landalucci finished 0-3. So that was really the main drama. That was Tien, who was the pre-tournament favorite, being on the cusp of being eliminated in the group stage, but he found a way to survive, and now Tien is still alive, and he's playing in the semis. So that was the main storyline. Budkov did win the groups if you took him as the long shot option. Congrats. Nice prize for you. For the actual groups, we ended up doing okay for the group stage. We thought Joder and Tien had chances to win the group. Joder did not. He had a chance to go 3-0, did not convert. But either way, he ended up losing 1, and Tien ended up advancing but not winning the group. So we went over in that group. But we did have Blocks to win the red group at 2-1. So that ended up being okay as he won the group there. So not exactly a great group stage for us, but it was fine as we did get one of the two group outrights correct, as we ended up getting blocks at 2-1. Now, for the outrights, we still have TN at plus 110. Prismic did lose. That was our long shot at 650, but TN did survive. We still have one of the four guys left at plus 110. So, getting into, once again, my thoughts on the event so far. Overall, it's been fun. You've not seen many five-setters. I believe the Joder-TN match on day one was the only five-setter in the entire event. You've seen a decent amount of four-setters, though. So it has been competitive, but we have seen, once again, some guys, when they get ahead, tend to coast, and that has been the case for the most part. So it's been entertaining. I still can't stand the first of four in a set format, but either way, that's what we are doing in the event. It's become the reputation of the event. It kind of sucks, but either way, the matches have been competitive. And I do see Matt mentioning that TN did win the group. Did he? Because I'm seeing, let me actually just confirm that, because I see the source that I'm using, which is SofaScore, tell me that he did not win the group. So let me just quickly see if I see something else with the standings. So SofaScore might just be drunk. Let me just quickly see what I can find here for the group stage. Yeah, I guess you were right. So TN did win the group. So thanks for pointing that out, Matt. Yeah, SofaScore has kind of been all over the place when it comes to their standings, but thank you for correcting me there. TN did win the group. So he actually won both groups. So there we go. TN was pretty juicy, though, minus 225, but he got there in the end, and Blocks did as well. So he made money for the group stage. So thank you for pointing that out, Matt, but either way, TN, according to Flash Score, did win the group. So there you go. And Blocks, of course, went 3-0. He did win the other group. So, yeah, we swept the group stage. So there you go. Once again, keep an eye out for your actual tennis sources. SofaScore has been all over the place, and it was incorrect for their standings recap, but Flash Score was correct. So there you go. Did end up winning both groups. And, of course, TN is still our only hope to win the entire event at plus 110. So for the event, it's been entertaining. I mean, we've seen some close matches. We have seen some drama. And as for the actual drama in the first group, definitely in full display, as three guys had a chance to advance, and instead you ended up getting TN and a Butkov, which you could argue was the two expected outcomes. I'd argue that Joder, who was the second favorite in odds, was expected to finish in second. But TN winning the group was expected. And as for Blocks, he had the same odds as Prismic. So Prismic and Basaveretti had close odds. Prismic, though, was slightly shorter. And that was the upset in the second group, as Basaveretti ended up beating Prismic to win the actual spot in second place for the group. But either way, once again, not too much drama, but it's been fun. If you have been waking up early to watch some of the matches, the quality has been pretty good. I would say that there has not been a superstar player like we have seen in years past, but it's still been competitive, and hopefully the semis and beyond are competitive as well. Anyway, it's going to wrap it up for the actual group stage recap. Time to go on into the two matches for Saturday. Before we get into the two matches, a reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Kalshi. So if you want to check out a real money prediction market available in every state, check out Kalshi. In all 50 states, you can trade markets in sports, including the NFL, college football, college basketball, the NBA, NHL, and more. Plus, you can also trade props like first touchdowns, and you can also check out other options besides sports. They have politics, they have entertainment, and also weather. And if you're new to Kalshi, get a nice sign-up deal with us. If you are new to Kalshi, get $20 when you sign up with the code SGPN. That's Kalshi, Kalshi, promo code SGPN for a free $20 at sign-up. We're also brought to you by Nordic Fantasy. So like Pick'em Entry's chance to win 5,000 times your entry. They also have a lot of great deals for you this holiday season. So check out Underdog Unwrapped. Unwrap a ton of promos and gifts all throughout the holidays. And a reminder that if you want to check out Underdog, there's a new offer for customers. Play just $5, get $75 in bonus funds when you sign up with the promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the group stage recap. Time to go on into the semifinals. So, starting off in order of the matches taking place on Saturday. First match will be between Blocks and Butkov. That's at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then the late match is the two Americans, TN versus Basaveretti, as it's taking place at around 1 p.m. Of course, that match will start when the other one ends, but that's the expected order of play and time of play. So for the odds, to be honest, both matches pretty similar based on the actual totals and based on the spread and money lines. So for the odds here, you have Blocks, who is favored about minus 250. You have Budkov at around plus 200. For the spread, you have minus 3.5 for Blocks, and you have plus 3.5 for Budkov. A bit of juice there on Budkov plus 3.5. And for the over-under, I see around 23.5. Now, a reminder, they were not in the same group, so there is no head-to-head history. They have not played previously. However, I will point out that Blocks was able to win all 3 matches in the group stage, is the only guy to do so. So Blocks is technically the 1 seed entering the semis because he was undefeated in the group stage. Now, he was really never threatened, as he never even went to a 5th set. So Blocks beat Engel in 4. We had the over in that one with Blocks winning that got there. He beat Basaveretti in straight sets, and he beat Prismic in 4, but he won the last set 4-0. So once again, really never in doubt. As for Budkov, I'd say that he was not expected to make it out of the group stage, but he played well. Beat Landalucci in 4, despite being a dog in that match. Beat Joder in 4, and then lost to Tien in 4. But Tien, we know, was the tournament favorite, so really no shame in that. Either way, he's been playing good tennis. Now, for the matchup in itself, should Blocks be basically the same price as Tien? I think it might be a little bit expensive. I understand that Blocks is right now playing the best tennis of anybody. Do I think 250 though is I'd say a fair price? I'm going to say no. I think it is a bit expensive. I think he should be favored, but I would have it at around minus 200. I think Budkov, with his rally tolerance, can frustrate Blocks, and I do think this matchup could be close. I don't see it being close either way. I think even if you want to pick the upset and go with Budkov, I think it goes 4 or 5. And Blocks, I said before, despite winning all 3 matches in the group stage, has really not had a very easy go of it. He did beat Basaveretti in straight sets, but he dropped a set to Prismic and he dropped the set to Landalucci. So even the match against Basaveretti had 2 tiebreaks in it, so that wasn't exactly a very sweat-free match there. The individual sets were pretty close. So I think for the match in itself, I am looking at the over in this one. I think it should be competitive. I think it should come down to the wire. I think Blocks is going to win. I think Blocks has a bit more firepower than Budkov, but I do think it'll be close. I think it might come down to maybe a 5th set, and I do think the odds feel a bit disrespectful towards Budkov. I think it will be competitive, and I think that eventually the favorite will win. But I think you're looking at the actual spot where I just think Blocks might win a pretty tough tiebreak in order to potentially win the match and get himself an edge that he will not surrender. But I do think you're going to end up seeing a spot where it should be close. I think it will be tied 1-1 in sets over the course of this match, and I can see a breaker or 2 unfolding. So based on that, I do think Blocks is going to win, but I don't want to lay 250. So I think I'll just go with the games here. I think Budkov plus 3.5 games does feel like a pretty decent spread, and I don't mind the over for this one. Blocks, I think, might have a similar script to the Engel match, which is him winning, but there's a breaker or 2 in there. It's close, and the match goes over the listed games. So for me, Budkov, I think, has been impressive so far in the event. I think he will not be a pushover by any means, and I think that eventually he will be able to win at least 1 set. But Blocks should win. If you want my prediction, I'll go Blocks in a competitive 4 with at least 1 tiebreak in there. So give me the over and give me the favorite to win, but I don't see much value on the head end. Give me the plus 3.5 for Budkov and the over 23.5 games as my thoughts for this one. Moving on to the late match, you have the 2 Americans, Basaveretti taking on Tien. Now, similar price. Tien is a slightly bigger favorite. He's minus 264 compared to minus 250. So once again, not that big of a difference, but still a bigger favorite. For the spread, minus 3.5 and minus 108, and plus 3.5 for Basaveretti at around minus 122. The over-under is 1 game less. It is 22.5 compared to 23.5. The over is minus 129. The under is minus 101. Now, like Blocks and Budkov, different groups, so no head-to-head in this format, but unlike Blocks and Budkov, we have some history between the 2 of them, and it's been very one-sided. So Tien lost the first set to Basaveretti back in July 2024. Since dropping that first set, he's been undefeated. He's won 7 straight sets. He's 3-0 lifetime in the head-to-head against Basaveretti. And stylistically, pretty similar. Not the most firepower, not the best serving, a lot of rallying, and Tien is better in that department. So for the actual head-to-head face-off last year in Wimbledon, so it was a 3-set match, and Basaveretti, after losing the first set in a breaker, kind of got buried, ended up losing in straight sets, only won 11 games in the entire match. So before that face-off in Knoxville in 2024, Tien did win in straight sets, and in 2024, a couple months prior, Basaveretti won the first set, and then did lose in 3. So Tien got off to a bad start in the group stage in a match he should have won. A really bad choke job against Jeddah. He was up 3-1 with multiple match points in the final set, and he choked it. He lost in a tiebreak. After that, though, he settled down, beat Landalucci in 4, and beat Budkov in 4. A reminder, Budkov was undefeated entering that last match. So Tien, despite not playing up to his usual standard, probably should have won all 3 matches in the group stage, and instead he won the group anyway, going 2-1. But the point is Tien did settle in, and it seems like he's finally back to his old self again, still dropping a set here or there. In fact, he has dropped at least 1 set in every single match here, but we know that the rally tolerance is there. The serve has been quite awful for Tien so far in the event, but I am going to point out he did have his best serving match of the tournament against Budkov, as he ended up not getting broken in the entire match. So hopefully, for Tien's sake, the serve got under control, and that can carry over into the rest of the event. Now, as for Basaveretti, beat Prismic in 4, beat Engel in 3 sets, and did lose in the middle to blocks in straight sets. So Basaveretti's been good. We've seen him in the ATP Tour before. Solid overall hardcourt player. We saw him win a set against Djokovic in the Australian Open a year or 2 ago. Tien, though, has owned the head-to-head, and I think we'd all agree that with the similar styles of play, Tien being better in that style of play does not bode well for Basaveretti's chances. I think that Tien's going to win again. The argument, though, is will Basaveretti keep the match very close? I think that's kind of the argument here. Is there a puncher's chance for Basaveretti to win? And anytime you're playing a first-to-4 set format, yes, it's possible that the guy who's lost all 3 head-to-head meetings can pull off the upset. Am I picking him to do so? No. I think that Tien's a better rallier. I think Tien has a bit more patience, and I do think that Tien is the better overall player. Both guys are not that good at serving, so based on that, I do think you're looking at a spot where Tien might be a little bit better at serving, but you might see a bunch of breaks. It wouldn't shock me if you ended up getting a bunch of up and down sets because nobody can hold. That wouldn't shock me either. But I do think that Tien will have more breakpoint chances. I think he'll be able to win the longer rallies. And I do think from an overall, I'd say, talent perspective, I think Tien is better in the super rally-heavy, I'd say, style of play that both guys like to use. So based on that, I think Tien's going to win. I think you might see maybe a 4-setter. If Tien won in straight sets, I would not be shocked. Basaveretti was objectively good in the group stage, but Prismic has been kind of underwhelming, at least in the event he was, as he went 1-2. Engel ended up losing every single match. So Basaveretti against guys who actually made it out of the group stage did not win a set. He lost in straight sets to blocks. For Tien, did lose to Jeddah in 5. He should have won that 1-5. Beat Landalucci, beat Budkov, but I think Tien is the better player, and he's shown it in the head-to-head. I got Tien winning. I think he'll probably win in 3 or 4. Basaveretti maybe can pull off the upset, but I'm skeptical. Give me Tien to get the job done in this one, in my opinion, in, I'll say 4 sets for this one. Anyway, it's going to wrap it up for the semis. Time to go on into the lock and dog picks. Before we get into the lock and dog, a reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, Novig. If you want to check out prediction markets, check out Novig, which is rated #1 in America out of all sports prediction markets, and also get some great prices, a lot of reduced juice with your actual markets. So once again, shop around, compare it to other sports books. You'll be impressed by the actual prices Novig will give you. Also, a great offer at sign up with us at Novig. So if you download the app, get $50 when you spend just $5 if use our code SGPN. So again, the actual no vig, promo code SGPN at sign up. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. So they've been great so far this NFL season, especially on props. Check out their models for college basketball as well. So they have a lot of options. You can build your own model, copy one from the leaderboard, or use the house model. If you want to experiment with models in sports, recommend Rhythm. It's a very good resource for you. Plus, a reminder, if you want to check out Rhythm, we have a nice discount code with Rhythm. So if you go to the app at the, once again, App Store, download the Rhythm app, you'll get a nice 25% off deal for your first month. That's Rhythm, RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 for 25% off your first month with the code SGPN25 at Rhythm. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the two matches on Saturday in the semis. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. For the lock, I'm going to go back to the TN match against Basaviretti. I am going to go with Basaviretti team total under 11.5 at minus 125. This was on Bet365. Now, TN, said before, is 3-0 head-to-head against Basaviretti. He's won 7 straight sets. And the fact is, Basaviretti has really not been that competitive against TN in the past. After winning that first set in their head-to-head history, he's lost 7 in a row, and it has been mostly lopsided. I think TN is a bad matchup for Basaviretti. Both guys are similar. TN is objectively better. He's ranked in the top 30 for a reason. He's really good. And yes, TN was not good early on in the event, dropping the match against Jeddah as a massive favorite. Since then, he settled in, and the fact is the two opponents he faced afterwards ended up going under this team total. So Butkov went under, and Landalucci went under, and Jeddah should have went under, even in a fifth set, because Jeddah ended up having a deficit of 1-3 in the final set, fought off 3 match points, and then won the match. So TN could have easily covered, once again, this opponent team total all 3 matches. And instead of one massive collapse, he ended up going 2-1. But the point is, his opponents have been getting killed in specific sets. There's been a couple of 4-1s in there. I can see that happening in this match as well. But Basaviretti, simply put, is a similar player stylistically to TN, but Basaviretti is worse. I think that the team total is reasonable. You're looking at a spot where Basaviretti could end up winning a set and still going under this number. So TN should win. If you're looking at what could be a Basaviretti set win, followed by a couple of, for example, 4-2s in favor of TN. Basaviretti, for example, winning 4 in a set and then losing the next 3 sets 4-2. Just for example, that does end up getting him to 10 games. So I do think there's a path where TN wins in 3 or 4, and Basaviretti does go under this team total. I like it. I think it's a good price. Give me the Basaviretti team total under 11.5 as my lock for the show. For my dog, I'm going to rinse and repeat our dog winner from the first episode of the event. Give me Blocks money line once again with the over 23.5 games against Butkov, and that pays out at plus 187. So Blocks did not lose a single match in the group stage, but he did drop a set in 2 of those 3 matches. So once again, he was comfortable, but he was not unbeatable. And I do think Butkov's a good enough player to win at least 1 set. Meanwhile, Butkov had a bunch of marathons. He went 2-1 in the group stage, but all 3 of those matches did not end in straight sets. He's feisty. He's competitive. I see a close match here. I think Blocks will win, but I see a similar story to the match we called against Engel, which is a close set that goes in favor of Butkov, probably goes 4 sets, and Blocks eventually wins. But I like the price. I think getting a favorite here of minus about 250 at around plus 187 to pick it being in competitive fashion, I think it's a very good value play. I'll go for that as my dog for the show. So once again, the lock and dog picks for the next gen semis. The lock's going to be on Basaviretti team total under 11.5 at minus 125 against TN. For the dog, give me Blocks money line with the over 23.5 games at plus 187 against Butkov's. Going to wrap it up for the show. Like once again, for the final in the Next Gen Finals. Keep an eye out for that episode. Till next time, support the show by subscribing on YouTube. Also leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. Find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. And of course, as always, good luck to all of you.